Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have been enjoying the day today. It's a pleasure to join you again. I would like to announce the beginning of the last track of our symposium event, the ICT education track, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the track chair for this track, Dr. Ahmed Davag, Technology Development Manager, Ankabut, United Arab Emirates. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Davag.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This track is special. It's not talking about smart, it's not talking about E, it's talking about ICT and how we use ICT perfectly in a classroom and how the outcome of this ICT usage in a classroom and different methods. We have two sessions here. We have a physical session here with Dr. Yacine Atif, and we have a remote session just after from United States, Texas, with Marcy Powell from Polycom. We'll start with Dr. Yacine Atif. Dr. Yacine Atif received his PhD in computer science from Hong Kong University of Science and Technology in 1996. After graduation, he worked at Purdue University in the United States as a postdoc and then joined a faculty position at Nanyang Technical University in Singapore. Since 1999, he is with the UAE University as faculty. Over the last decade, he led several initiatives that are designed to create a rich learning environment to help promote the transformation of teaching and learning through the innovation use of technology. He has made significant research contribution to the general field of educational technologies. His technology-enhanced learner-centered approaches have been applied to several empirical studies and integrated into real-life instructional environment to enrich contemporary learning experiences. We are honored to welcome Professor Yacine. His address is entitled Immersive Learning in Technology Enhanced Classroom. Welcome.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So thank you, Chair, for introducing me, and I thank the organizer for inviting me here to share this experience of an actual classroom that we have deployed at the UAE University. I will start by thinking about it's time to look again at our classroom environment, because our learners have evolved. They are no longer considered as passive vessels waiting to be filled, and they bring a lot of their experience into the classroom, because today with the pervasive availability of internet resources, they come already and also the wide variability of educational environments from which they come, meaning that they come to the classroom with already rich background, and they come with a variable or a variety of experiences, and they bring this to the classroom. Learners have changed, but our classroom did not. In fact, it did not change for decades. We are still in the same kind of classroom environments where we are being taught ourselves. So, and in most of the cases, we tend to reiterate the assigned textbook content for the particular subject and present this textbook content back to the students. And why would we do that? I would rather ask students to go and read the textbook instead. So if they are in the classroom, there is a different opportunity that we should seize for enhancing their learning experience rather than reiterating the content of a textbook. In fact, the concurrent presence of multiple people in the same space naturally should trigger conversations. And this is where we are putting our contribution here in this presentation. The fact that our learners come to the same physical space means that this is an opportunity to engage into conversations. And we look into the classroom now as a set of conversations where learners learn through these conversations, no longer in isolation. And we would like to provide means, technological means, to be able to actually visualize those conversations rather than looking at these conversations in an abstract way. We will explain later on what do we mean by visualizing conversations. And because the classroom has been more or less static in the past, we would like to enhance the classroom by creating dynamic environments. We would like to provide means for classroom reconfigurations to be able to adjust this learning space environment to be able to meet different style or different instructional styles. No longer monotonic learning whereby an instructor is giving a lecture in one direction mode to a set of learners. Now, what we really want from our classroom is to be pushed by pedagogical means advocated by researchers in education psychology, and to pull from technology support what can serve those pedagogical means, and the output we ultimately would like to have from this classroom environment is essentially to optimize learning retention and instruction. Now, education psychologists, renowned, have already advocated a typical learning cycle by which learners are or would be initially exploring or getting a first-hand experience about the subject matter before actually providing a formal learning session about that subject matter. To further enhance the learning process, these concepts which have been explored, then formally learned, should be applied to real-world problems or to solve particular problems, and finally should make sense to the learners by reflecting this concept to the real world. So what they have proposed here is that the concept that we introduce in our classroom environment should go through this cycle to optimize instruction. And we would introduce a number of concepts through our classroom teaching, and we are arguing here that each concept goes through this cycle to optimize instruction. Okay, so these are educational grounds for classroom learning. I would like to provide technological support by which learners are immersed in an environment which support each of these modes in the proposed learning cycle. And the classroom is reconfigurable in the sense that as a teacher, I am able to transit from one learning space to another learning space using adequate technological support to provide means for learners to explore, to learn, to apply, and to reflect the concept that I would like to introduce. So we call this classroom that we have actually deployed as a prototype at the UAE University, immersive learning classroom, because we are able to immerse learners in an environment which support each of these modes, and we are able to change this single physical space into multiple virtual spaces to support each of these learning modes for the sake of optimizing instruction. Now, this is the kind of architectural view of the classroom, where the layout consists in groupware whereby students are no longer facing the teachers, but rather facing themselves. And each of this groupware is supported by a touchboard, group-associated touchboard through which learners can wirelessly display their material, whether it be it on an iPad or a laptop, to share a subject or a discussion of a common interest, so no longer to squeeze next to each other, to be able to share a common view of an iPad or a laptop. So the learners are able to work together to explore an initial concept. In this case, they would be in the first stage. I would give the case study or the very first section of the textbook, which contains a case study to motivate the students about the subject in order to enter this explore stage, after which they would, each group would present to the rest of the class their first-hand experience. This is an intra-group discussion, and I would move the learning space and use the whiteboard, which actually is a concatenation of 3 boards in order to present formally the concept that I would like my students to comprehend. And I would change the configuration of the class to move to the apply stage, by which I would assign a particular problem which involved the concept to be solved, and each group again solve it in their own means using that shared whiteboard space or touchboard space, after which these solutions are contrasted back to the teacher 3 boards, and we would have an intergroup conversations now, by which the solutions provided by individual group is broadly discussed in the classroom before moving the conversation to the external world using video conferencing system which we have available in this classroom, by which learners or the classroom, entire classroom, converse with an external party. If it is a business class, for example, it could be the stock market, and we would have made prior arrangement with a partner there to be able to discuss with the students the concept in the real field. So in one way, this is our implementation of the evolving flipped classroom, because we do give a first-hand experience about the material to the learners to build their own understanding first, before we actually deliver the activities, in-class activities, which make use of this particular concept. So we are able to implement or apply this evolving concept now, being widely used in today's classroom environment. So the classroom is dynamic all the time, dynamic by the fact that the members of the classroom are continuously moving from one stage to another stage, and dynamic also by the fact that the ability of the flexibility provided to the teacher to reconfigure the classroom learning environments to move across multiple virtual learning spaces. This is the actual classroom with the 3 groupware learning environments with the associated touchboards, to which our learners can wirelessly display their material, be it using appropriate software, and the whiteboard on the teacher side, to which we can contrast solutions among multiple groups in order to trigger intergroup conversations during the apply stage of the cycle that I have mentioned earlier. Now, the explore space, we have mentioned that there are 4 spaces. The explore space is engaging the first-hand experience about a particular concept. We use electronic books with the possibility to take shared annotations among group members. So the utility that we are using, which is iPad-based, has this ability to share notes of a particular section that we assign to the students among the members of the group. So it's an enriched case study learning, because the learners support each other with some members may have more experience than the other about a particular subject, and they bring their experience with this shared space. The learn space is a conversation between the teacher and the classroom, like kind of a formal lecture, but it is shrinked compared to the traditional section, to the traditional lecture, because it's a segment of this cycle that we have mentioned earlier. And in conversation is engaged between the teacher and the students, because assessment triggered by the particular software package that we use evaluate the understanding of the learners within the classroom instantly by showing to the teacher through questionnaire where the classroom is actually standing in terms of the particular concept that is being introduced. The apply space, as I said before, brings the group where works or to solve a particular problem to the same shared board to be able to contrast the solutions among groups and engage within with the intergroup conversations after the intra-group conversation during the explore stage. And finally, the reflect stage is an iterative this conversation with the external world to approximate the concept learned in the class to its application in the real world. Okay, this is very good, but you cannot hope to deploy this right away. Hope to see it working. To be able to see it working, we do not need to support only the learners, but we need to support also the instructors who would find themselves in this novel instructional environment. So what kind of content resources need to be provided in this learning environment, and also how can we share content and design of learning, because if somebody has experience into that environment and they would like to share either the content or the design of the learning in this conversational learning environment. And finally, how can we monitor the context to be able to decide when to change from one learning space to the next learning space. So today's education technology has made progress in terms of standardization. A long time ago, the evolution of the web has led to the standardization of learning resources in the form of learning objects. And we would envision here a repository of learning objects by which these learning objects are concatenated together to form a particular activity. Activity 1, for example, here in this figure could reflect the apply stage. Activity 2 is the learning object which are going to be used for the learn stage, etc. So we would like to have this database ready to be reused or even repurposed by instructors to be able to get going this kind of classroom environment. And we are able to do this, I said before, because of the standardization which facilitate the sharing of not only learning resources but also learning design. For example, a big consortium, the IMS consortium, has came up with the standardization of learning design, and the learning object is an IEEE standard under the name of learning object metadata. Now, with this standardization efforts, we would like to provide the ability to implement this cycle using standard learning design, by which we are able to automate the retrieval of these resources to support the teacher who would be able to retrieve learning resources related to the explore stage, learning resources related to the learn stage, and even retrieve the rules which facilitate the transition from to alert the instructor when he should be moving from one stage to another stage. So we would like to support this classroom environment with this automatic support for instruction, and have this type of use of navigation through existing resources by which the instructor would like to retrieve, for example, what kind of resources are available to implement the explore stage, and retrieve those activities directly from an existing repository that we strive at building at the current stage. We have finally conducted some assessment of this framework, because we taught the same subjects in the traditional classroom and as well in this immersive learning classroom. We used the standard assessment criteria advocated by educational psychologists, and we observed substantial gains in the context of utilizing this conversational learning mode or pedagogy supported by our technology-enhanced classroom compared to traditional instructive teaching in conventional classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we have a room for one question. Yes, please. Give the mic.
Since this is an experimentation, I would like to know what type of subjects or topics you were working with, because I think that's very interesting.
Thank you. We were initially, the model is not linked to particular learning topics, but the experience that we had with this classroom are three subjects: e-business, which is an e-commerce course; system analysis and design, which is a software engineering course; and information system fundamentals, which is an information system course. So these three subjects went successfully through this learning environment. Thank you.
Another question? Okay, thank you, Doctor. Thank you.